Hey everybody, happy Friday. What a beaut, huh? I'm just checking in with you from the work van with a little reminder. This is Manchester Dems flyer from 2 years ago, last election cycle, where they bragged 2 years of no tax increases. And then 8 days after the election, they dropped the property tax reevaluation that increased all of our property taxes between 10 and 25-ish%. That was a treat, and it's just a classic campaign move to campaign on one thing, and as soon as you get elected into office, do the exact opposite. We got a new flyer coming out from MD Rahman here, where retiring Steve Cassano, our old senator, after decades of serving you, it's time to pass the baton of progress, and I'm proud to endorse MD Rahman for our next state senator. Now, this is a recurring theme. You'll see a lot of people speak for MD because it's incredibly hard to understand MD when he does speak. He might be a great guy, but he's got a very thick accent because he's from Bangladesh. And I don't know why Manchester Dems think he's an appropriate candidate, because it's hard to understand him when he communicates. And I can't imagine how he's going to be able to navigate the Senate floor and get into debates and discussions and have that dialogue when it's very hard to understand what he says when you're standing feet away from him. But money talks. He's given over $100,000, from my understanding, to the Manchester Democratic Party, and I think he's funding a lot of his own campaign himself. He could be spending a couple $100,000 on this election. It makes you wonder why, you know. On the back of the flyer, it says that he's going to donate all of his senatorial salary to local charities of your choosing. And this reminds me of the expression, there's no such thing as a free lunch. You know, it might be, he might be our free senator, but it's going to cost us, and our children are going to have to pay. Because if CT Dems get in control, and they're going to pass a COVID vaccine mandate for children to attend school, a yearly mRNA shot. And if you wanted to do that, that would be your prerogative with your child. But to mandate every child get it when there's so many unknowns, we don't have really any long-term data. I'm talking about 5-10-year data. We don't have anything regarding that. And we already have a lot of data that shows that it affects people in negative ways. And there are studies that show it affects women's menstrual cycles. I know a couple women myself who had menstrual issues after receiving the vaccine. So to give this vaccine to children, you could potentially be damaging, your lineage. Like, are your children going to be able to, when that time comes, have children, or are they going to be sterilized from 15 years of yearly COVID vaccines? I don't know, but it's something that we should pump the brakes on and just not say, oh, we're going to mandate this because science. The COVID-19 vaccine has no benefit for children at all. Statistically, they're not in danger of COVID. And to give a mandate would only be empowering big pharma and increasing their profits. And it's not like we don't have some people telegraphing what's going to happen. In this article from CT Insider, Lamont open to CT schools requiring COVID vaccines for students. And, he's very pro-vaccine. Here's Matt Ritter, who's the majority leader of the House, in the Journal-Inquirer. If a vaccine for the coronavirus, for instance, were developed, Ritter said, all students would likely have to be vaccinated to attend school. So that's what you're looking at. You elect CT Dems, you're going to have your kids vaccinated to attend school with the mRNA jab that's unstudied for long-term side effects. But the other thing I want to talk about is how CT Dems are so for censorship. They're not for fundamental rights like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to assemble. They're for censoring you. And it's not my opinion, because here's another article from CT Insider. Report finds 16 Connecticut legislators have joined a far-right Facebook group. And it says in the text of the article that 14 House members and 2 senators, all of them being Republicans, have joined the Facebook group Open CT Now, which is labeled as a COVID denial and an anti-lockdown group. I don't know who's pro-lockdown. Let's destroy our small businesses and traumatize our children, our families, and lock everything down. And I think the people that were asking the most questions regarding COVID early on have mostly been validated, because what they were questioning has either been proven to be true, say lab leak, like they were saying the COVID vaccine came from a lab. And just last week, you haven't heard about it in the news because they don't want you to know, the U.S. Senate's own report said that the onus is that they think that COVID came out of the Wuhan lab. But if you talked about that a couple years ago, you were thrown off the internet as a conspiracy theorist. They're totally for censorship. So Lamont, in the same vein, in reaction to the fact that these people who are our representatives are joining a group that's advocating for freedom of choice, against mandates, making your own decisions, not locking businesses down, Lamont created a group, a misinformation sheriff to the tune of $150,000 a year to police social media content into Connecticut. And he's going to go around looking at different websites and social media pages for misinformation regarding to the election or COVID. And, it's just trying to silence your opposition. Just recently, like 2 days ago, CT RAM, which is Connecticut Residents Against Medical Mandates, which is a pro-vaccine choice group, was completely scrubbed off of Facebook because of the Connecticut's misinformation sheriff reported them and raised the stink. So you had 10,000 people communicating with each other, talking about what candidates to support, what kind of questions to ask at forums, just completely scrubbed because it doesn't align with the Democrat narrative of take the shot and shut up. Like, you had people on the television for months, take the damn shot, just shut up and do it. Literally, that's what they were saying. And nobody in these medical freedom groups or medical choice groups were ever saying that. If you wanted to, knock yourself out. But we're just asking questions, and according to the Connecticut Democrats, you're not allowed to do that anymore, which is very disconcerting. So, hey, voter beware. Enjoy your weekend. This video went way long, but I hope you guys have a lot of fun and do take care.